أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون صدق الله العظيم. We continue from ayah number 168 of Surah Al-Bakrah. In the last verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had spoken about those who have followed the leaders and those who follow the followers, both the groups. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them with regards to the adhab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how the leaders would want to disown and disassociate from the followers. And before that, Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala had been speaking about His qudrat, that only Allah ta'ala is one, and how the disbelievers have not taken heed. They have removed themselves from the parameters of intellectual capacities. They have not utilized the intellectual capacities in applying their minds with regards to the tawheed and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here in these verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about yet another issue with regards to them, in that not only did they worship idols, and not only did they ascribe partners to Allah ta'ala in worship, they also had made sacrifices for their idols and the associated partners in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala insofar as the sacrifices are concerned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba, eat from that which is in the earth, which is halal, which is permissible, tayyiba, which is pure. One of the sacrifices that the pagans used to make, the idol worshippers used to make from amongst the Quraysh, was that they would free animals for the sake of their idols, in the names of their idols, and these animals will wander in the pastures. No one could eat them, no one could milk them, no one could ride upon them, put any load upon them. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made halal for them, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made permissible, they had made it impermissible upon themselves. And hence here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in response to that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind. The address is not restricted only to the believers here. Kulu mimma fil ardi halala. Eat from that which is in the earth, which is halal, which is permissible. The word halal, actually halla in Arabic is to open a knot. And here it refers to a restriction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has uplifted. In other words, what is halal, Allah has never restricted us with regards to that. Allah has made it permissible. The second word that Allah used is tayyiba, which means pure, wholesome. Ulama have expressed that to which something the heart is naturally inclined, a heart that is balanced, a heart that is inclined towards Allah, naturally inclines towards these things, and in it in itself, in the word tayyiba, also the connotation of halal is found, the meaning of halal is found, that whatever is pure, Allah Ta'ala has made permissible for us, whatever is permissible, in it there's purity, there is no impurity whatsoever. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this halal, Allah has made it permissible, Allah has lifted the restrictions and the barriers with regards to all of this. So here you have this group of people, the Quraysh, the pagans amongst them, that they will let these animals loose. What was halal now, they made haram upon themselves in the names of these gods, in the names of these idols, in the names of all these the objects of worship that they had. And hence Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran Sharif, in the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for you and I, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also made restrictions. Allah has also made certain things haram, just very, very broadly. One are those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram, that is haram in itself. In other words, there is impurity in itself, and that is like the meat of carrion, swine, etc. Then we will get the other group amongst them, that in itself it is permissible, but the wealth that was acquired to purchase or to acquire these things had been acquired in an impermissible way, like for example, somebody would have cheated or somebody stole some money and they could buy the most halal of things, but that will become haram for that person because of that wealth. The third, which was also now linked and connected to paganism, was this, that sometimes they would slaughter these animals in the names of their idols, and hence that also becomes haram because it is not slaughtered in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the animal could have been an animal that in itself was permissible and halal and pure, but now they cast impurity by sacrificing this animal in the name of anyone else besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the names of the idols. And even in these days, if somebody slaughters in the name of anyone, be it a saint or anyone else besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then obviously that offering makes that animal in itself not permissible to consume. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, and do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. This is how shaitan will create a way that a person will wander away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu used to say that one is shaitan, the influence of shaitan upon man. The shaitan will create a scenario, a scene, where sometimes a person may feel that the outcome is beneficial, but the deed in itself is not permissible. Now if we take it, to sacrifice is a very great thing. To sacrifice for Allah is meritorious. So the sacrifice in itself is not the issue. To sacrifice for anyone else, for anything else besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in fact haram. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to. The shaitan sometimes will make whatever it seemed to be good, but however there will be a contamination within it. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. And certainly shaitan is a manifest enemy to you, that he is always going to lure you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then continuing with shaitan, Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ. Certainly shaitan only commands you to sin, wal-fahsha, and immodesty. This is what shaitan will do. And here again and again, the Quran is replete with this fact that shaitan cannot force us to do something. Although the word ya'murukum is being used, and ya'murukum will refer to a command, but in actual fact it is an influence that shaitan will try to use, influencing us, trying to sway us from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, influencing us to do wrong and break the commandments of Allah. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used two different categories of sin. One is sin in its general sense is regarded as su, and the other is fahsha. All those sins that are linked with immodesty, promiscuity and shamelessness, all of that is found in fahsha. So these are this is the two modus operandi of shaitan. They will divert us into these two ways. وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And the third is, the shaitan will command you that you say upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that which you do not know. The example that they were slaughtering and sacrificing these animals in the name of these idols, or they were leaving these animals free to roam in the pastures and saying that they were free for the sake of their gods. So shaitan will make them do all of this and say upon Allah, fabricate upon Allah, to say that it is the command of Allah, or it is a deed that will get them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some ulama have also described وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal, we begin to make that haram. That is also a wrong and that is also a sin. When there are things that Allah has made halal, it is categorical. That to make those things haram and to say Allah had forbidden it, that is also fabricating a lie in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the opposite, that is more famous, that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram, then to make that halal, that is also وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So both of it and all of it is the influence of shaitan. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.